Hi, it's Dwyer from GamblersAdvisory.com. After his recent win over Jermaine Taylor, super middleweight champion Carl Froch called out retired boxing legend Joe Calzaghe. After that happened, I received a lot of emails. There was a lot of excitement about who would win a possible Carl Froch Joe Calzaghe matchup. Now, this is not an exact science. Certainly, my opinion's just my opinion, but I believe we've seen that fight already. And I would encourage the viewers to hop on YouTube and to go back to 1997 and to look at a film of hard-hitting Chris Eubank against Joe Calzaghe. Eubank fights a bit like Carl Froch. Like Carl Froch, Chris Eubank needs a little bit of distance, or needed a little bit of distance, to throw his power shots. Like Carl Froch, Chris Eubank was a very strong, muscle-bound guy who, once he got cooking and once he started hitting you with big shots, whoever got hit would wilt. Now, the problem Eubank faced against Calzaghe was that Calzaghe had far superior hand speed. Calzaghe has a different kind of hand speed than, let's say, a Jermaine Taylor has, which is kind of one punch or 1-2 punch hand speed, and it's very different than Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s hand speed. The quick jab, the quick 1-2. What Calzaghe has is the kind of combination hand speed that a Ray Leonard, a Ray Robinson, a Muhammad Ali, a Salvador Sanchez had. In other words, Calzaghe, once he gets on a roll, will throw 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 punches at you, and then, rather than move straight back, he'll actually jump to your side and then throw another series of combinations. Now, I believe the kind of fighter who could give Carl Froch problems is the kind of fighter who can get inside on him and who can throw a lot of quick combinations. Froch just isn't built to handle that kind of fast combination punching. Jermaine Taylor was a bit different. Jermaine Taylor stayed away. He stayed at distance and shot a jab, threw a quick 1-2 from distance, hurt Carl Froch, but then never stepped inside like Ray Leonard did against Thomas Hearns, like Salvador Sanchez did against Wilfredo Gomez. He didn't step inside and then push the issue and completely leverage his hand speed advantage. I believe in a matchup between Joe Calzaghe and Carl Froch, I would take Joe Calzaghe for that reason. Let me also point out that we saw a similar fight recently. It was a fight I got wrong here on YouTube. It was Shane Mosley against Antonio Margarito. And I thought that fight was very interesting. I should have realized that the blueprint for that fight was Shane Mosley against Fernando Vargas, the second fight, because Shane Mosley, very quick-handed, throws very short punches, and rather than stay outside and get battered by the wider throwing, harder hitting Margarito, Mosley went inside and completely destroyed Antonio Margarito. Margarito couldn't extend his hands. He didn't know what to do. Mosley wasn't out in the middle of the ring. Mosley was in on his chest, and he was doing damage. Now, I would encourage people to take a look at that Chris Eubank videotape. Take a look also at Calzaghe against Jeff Lacy. You will see that Calzaghe gets inside, stays on his chest. In fact, take a look at Calzaghe against Roy Jones. You'll notice that Calzaghe at different points in that fight is so close to Roy that he's able to put his head on Roy Jones's chest. I believe that in a Calzaghe-Carl Froch matchup, I believe that Calzaghe would get inside just like Mosley got inside on both Vargas and Margarito, and I believe he would do damage. Now, of course, I know I'm going to hear from the Carl Froch people, and I know they're going to point me to the Robin Reed fight. That is a fascinating fight. Calzaghe fought Reed, as did Froch. Froch stopped Reed in 5 rounds. Calzaghe, it's his closest fight to date. That was a split decision victory in the late 90s. Let me just point out the obvious. Robin Reed was quicker. He was a better fighter when he fought Joe Calzaghe than when he fought Carl Froch several years later. Let me also point out, too, that Joe Calzaghe in 1999 was not the same Joe Calzaghe who fought Mikhail Kessler several years later. By the time Joe Calzaghe fought Kessler, he literally had sharpened his skills, gained experience, still had the hand speed, but had it with knowledge. Let me also make another point. I'm here comparing Joe Calzaghe in his prime to Carl Froch right now. Obviously, if they were to fight today, I would encourage gamblers to figure out what weight Calzaghe walks around at these days, because, of course, Joe Calzaghe fought his last 2 fights at 175. Carl Froch fights at 168. If Joe Calzaghe is walking around at 195 or more, and if that fight were scheduled within 6 months or less, that would, of course, impact my decision on that fight. Joe Calzaghe now is not Joe Calzaghe in his prime. Um, since Joe Calzaghe has retired, I would need to find out if Calzaghe is spending time with his woman or in the gym. If it's outside the ring, then that would certainly impact any possible future fight between the two of them. If it's in the gym, if he's staying fit, if he's still hovering around 175 to 185, and if he's still working out, then if they were to fight today, I would still take Joe Calzaghe against Carl Froch. If that fight's at 175, if it's at 168, I'm going to reserve my right to change my opinion. Anyway, that's my limited take. Let me know yours. Leave your comments for us here on YouTube. Tell us who would win and why. This is a hypothetical fight, so there is no reason to be shy. Carl Froch certainly is an excellent talent. Let me also point out, too, that saying that I believe Joe Calzaghe would beat Carl Froch isn't saying much, because I do consider Calzaghe to be a very special fighter. I do feel that Carl Froch has a chance in any fight he's in. I think that he has very rare power. He is very calm in the ring. And quite frankly, he has some of the best stamina I have seen in the sport these days. All right, give us a look at Gambler's Advisory. Protect yourself at all times. And remember, when you bet, always use your head. Thanks for watching.